If it's a fundamental different business model and managing different processes and different resources, then autonomy is likely necessary. Because our view of things is that no two business models fit under the same business unit roof. They need to be separated out. They need to be free to set up their own way of going to market. And that may require a separate organization. The organization doesn't necessarily have to be 3,000 miles away. It doesn't even necessarily have to be under a fundamentally different roof physically, but it needs to be given the autonomy in the sense that the resources that it manages, the process that it proceeds through, are governed under a set of different rules and metrics. And that's really the rub when you get to dealing with rules and metrics. When you try to keep that in the current organization but yet manage differently, these rules and metrics get in the way. They conflate the real business that should be developed in the appropriate way. So the key here is to give appropriate autonomy to allow the business to succeed, but at the same time leverage the fact that it's a part of the overall organization and that there are resources in the core organization that can be beneficial to the new organization. And in that aspect, then, what we need to think about is how does the core organization establish the appropriate business model with the right metrics and rules and norms, and at the same time feed off of the core business where it's appropriate. And what that typically means is, number one, that the established new business ought to dictate the rhythm by which it interfaces with the core business. It should decide when it needs resources, what kind of resources they are, and provide the input into the core organization of what's going to be appropriate at what time. Another great example about how autonomous organizations get set up and evolved is Motorola's Razr story. In developing the Razr phone, which succeeded way beyond anybody's imagination, the initial establishment of that organization was to put 30 people in secret so that they could figure out exactly what kind of product requirements that this phone would have that weren't necessarily the traditional mobile telephony handset line that Motorola was typically embarked upon in all of the things that it was doing. But by having these people under the radar screen, if you will, it allowed them to interface with each other in the appropriate way to develop the right kind of design, independent of some of the established rules for the core organization.